Hey guys, Phalaris here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Talon Jungle game from Kaostanza, one of the best junglers on the EUS ladder. This guy reached rank 1 in Season 11, he reached rank 1 in Season 12, he is well on his way to reaching rank 1 in Season 13, playing almost exclusively Talon Jungle, a pick that we just don't really see anymore. After the nerfs to his damage to jungle monsters, Talon Jungle really fell out of favor. But Kaostanza's been playing this pick since like Season 5, well before it was buffed in the first place, and he is consistently in top 20 challenger. Extremely good player. So we're going to take a look and see how is this guy making this pick still work when everybody else has abandoned it, because you can see, no problems, he is still dominating the top of the EUS ladder. Alright, I'm going to give a very general overview of Talon's main item and rune setups. That being said, Kaostanza changes his build almost every single game, so if you want a more in-depth look at what he builds and when, I highly recommend checking out Kaostanza's stream. I'll link it in the video comments down below. But for a very general overview, if you're versus a tanky team, go ahead and grab the Conqueror, itemize into either Eclipse or Gore Drinker into Black Cleaver. If you're versus a squishier team, take either Electrocute or Dark Harvest and itemize into Duskblade or Prowler's Claw. If you really need reliable single target elimination, you're going to want to grab Electrocute Prowler's Claw with Ingenious Hunter to lower the cooldown of your Prowlers. It also has very good synergy with the rest of the lethality items, as most of them have very powerful item effects. If you are going for the Duskblade Dark Harvest setup and going for kind of chain kills, go for Ultimate Hunter instead, since Ingenious Hunter has no real synergy with Duskblade. Now, in terms of jungle pets, you are going to want to take Blue Pet in most of your games. It's really going to help with your mobility in the mid and late game. Talon is a jungler that wants to split push and cross map quite a lot. He doesn't like fair 5v5s. He wants to look for split pressure and picks, and Blue Pet really helps you accomplish this. But if the enemy team has really insane CC lockdown, you can probably consider Green Pet as well. Now, in terms of itemization options, Talon has a lot of good options at the moment. Black Cleaver is a no-brainer to take a look at if you need some durability and shred. It's just super efficient after its buffs. Ghostblade is still really nice if you want some more map mobility. It's not quite as important as it used to be, just because you have access to Blue Pet mobility now, but it's still a great option for Talon. Axiom Mark is a new addition after it was buffed up to 18 lethality. If you are snowballing into squishy champions, it is a legitimate option to take a look at. Talon doesn't like to go in without his ultimate, and Axiom Mark is kind of like Ultimate Hunter 2.0. Serpent's Fang also received buffs to its lethality lately. If the enemy team has lots of shielding, it is a very good option. And if you reach 4th, 5th item, then Cyrilda's Grudge is always going to be your primary pickup, because by that point in the game, the penetration is going to be super efficient and the slow is always nice to have. Alright, let's hop in and take a look at this gameplay. Now, the reason I chose to look at this VOD is because when I saw the team comps, I immediately thought to myself, if I was in his shoes, I would lose this game by 10 minutes and be sitting in base spamming for FF15. I have no idea how he's supposed to play this game. He is working with 3 full scaling lanes in GP, Cass, and Sona, none of whom have any gank setup for him, none of whom have any ability to move for him in the early game, and he is playing into an aggressive early invade jungler in Graves, a completely lopsided mid matchup of Tristana into Kassadin, and a Rakan that can just roam around the map completely uncontested, ganking every single lane unpunished because Sona is useless until level 6. I have no idea what Talon is supposed to do here to get out of the early game. Now, if Red Team does manage to make it to 25 minutes or so, and they're still in decent shape, they are probably going to win this game, because they have very strong scaling, they outrange the Blue Team, Ezreal GP are just going to be poking away, and Blue Team's hard engage just isn't quite strong enough to deal with it unless Rakan and Gragas manage to find a really nice flank. So, if they reach 25, they'll be okay, but the real problem is going to be getting there, right? Not getting stomped in the first 5-10 minutes of the game. Talon is electing to start on Raptors leashless with his W. Kaostanza does this almost every single game, since Talon's buff start is very weak. He did go for an early defensive ward in this bush. This is a great location into Graves, because if Graves goes this way, he'll get spotted. If he ease over this wall, he'll get spotted as well. So he dropped an early ward and then swapped out for his sweeper. Looks like he's electing to open with a Raptors red into Krugs. Alright, we do actually see Graves crossing, so good ward value here. What can Graves do here? Mid doesn't look diveable. Kassadin did a good job of staying healthy. If he was low HP, you have to come hover and make sure he doesn't get dove here. As Graves, you probably just invade this Krugs camp, since there's no real option mid. Yeah, here comes Graves. He does smite away the big Krug. This looks kind of bad for Talon, but to be honest, I'm fine with this. Like, Graves also had to commit quite a lot to come on this invade, and all he got was a big Krug. Right, so I'm actually fine with this in Talon's position. The game is stable. And it looks like bot lane did manage to win the 2v2 and go 2 for 1. Oh, Graves comes back in and stops his recall. Talon gets quite chunked out. Gonna have to recall here, but the problem now is that Gragas is slow pushing into the GP, so if Talon just leaves right now, Graves could actually come in and dive the gangplank. So I think Talon has to stay around even though he has very low HP. Just stay on the fringe here, make sure GP can collect this wave without getting dove, and then you can leave. And you can see, yeah, he's just kind of sitting here, channeling recall on repeat. Now that most of the wave is gone, he completes his recall. Alright, and he's going to be coming back out to the bot side. I don't think the GP is quite diveable anymore. He has hit level 3. Okay, kind of strange early game, but he does manage to pick up his longsword, avoid dying, and come out for his blue side. Okay, looks like bot is trying to dive Ezreal. It looks like Sona went down earlier, and not quite successful, but Rakan does live. Can Talon potentially go for a gank? Actually, he's still level 2. He can't rush this. Okay, so he needs to clear his blue buff, get his level 3. Otherwise, maybe he could have looked for an angle down there. So, going to be able to grab his blue buff here. You do have to keep in mind that Graves is going to be rotating to the bottom side of the map as well. So, if you go for a crab, it may be contested. Alright, here we go. Picks up the blue, hits level 3, goes on crab. It might be nicer to push this down towards the bot side, just in case Graves is here. Okay. Does manage to pick up the crab. Here's Graves. Drops a ward, and I think he can just go ahead and sweep this out. Yeah. Right, retreats to his jungle. Kassadin just getting chain pushed in under mid lane as expected. This is just going to be the story of the entire early game here. So Talon just heads back into his jungle to take some camps. Where would he go from here? I think it'd be quite nice to just sequence back up to the top side because all your camps are coming up. Bot was able to crash. There is a chance that he could also loop back around here and go for a counter gank onto the Graves, since Graves is on bot side, but I don't actually know if you win that 3v3, so it's probably a bit more reliable just to clear upwards. But it does look like he's moving down to support, as the enemy bot does have no sums. Okay, they get baited onto the Sona. Right, Q's in, W's, E's over the wall. Graves should be in the area, here he is. They might be able to clean up all of them here. Okay, wow, is this a triple for the Talon? E's over. Looks like he's kiting out for his Q cooldown. Auto Q. Keep in mind that when you melee Q, when you Q from melee range, your Q crits and does more damage. As compared to if you go from a range, you'll get the gap close from it, but you won't get the crit. That was pretty flippy if I'm being completely honest, because we knew Graves was on this side of the map, and Tristana also had prio mid, so that could very easily have gone wrong. I think the safer play would have just been to clear up towards top side, but they do take the kind of flip play, and it works out very well. So both Ezreal and Talon in a very strong position now. Again, you still have to keep in mind, even if you get this early advantage, you can't play too aggressive. Your team still is on the back foot in the early game, right? This doesn't mean that all of a sudden your champs are strong. It means that you're accelerated towards your spike points. You reach those spike points earlier. So my goal here would still be to try to keep this game stable and not do anything too crazy, because the enemy champions are still stronger at this point in the game. Okay, looks like he's trying to catch the Gragas out. Can you get him? Auto W. Goes for the Q, right? Didn't know if Gragas had flash, so he didn't want to use his gap closer first, so he went for the auto W into the Q. But looks like Gragas does manage to get out, just barely had enough mana for his body slam. So he's just going to W this wave, help the GP push in. You can see he's not stealing the EXP or gold, he just helped the GP push, and now Gragas is going to miss this entire wave, right? Nice job, Talon. Wow, what is happening mid? Okay, this poor Kassadin. Everybody rotating onto him. This looks like a 4-man dive 6 minutes into the game. Here comes Rakan, here comes Zeri, here comes Graves. This poor Kassadin, man. What do you do? This is the nature of the comps, and this is what I meant, right? Even if you guys have a lead in the early game in terms of gold, like, your champions are still weaker. Graves may look for the execute here. Yep, there we go. And Talon going to be able to stop Tristana from crashing this. So it looks like he's not looking to crash this wave. He's just going to hold this here and make sure that Tristana can't crash. And that way Kassadin can come out and potentially even freeze this. Yep. Tristana too scared here. Does take the recall. What you do have now, as soon as you see this, what Talon has created is a tempo advantage. Because even though his Kassadin was the one that died, he managed to delay the Tristana's recall, right? And now Tristana has to recall with low HP and mana. Kassadin does get the lane first. This is a cannon wave, so Kassadin's going to be able to push. And this is a timer where he could potentially look for a play on mid or bot, maybe even invade, because Kassadin is level 6 and he's going to have prio mid for a while. So let's see what Talon decides to do with this timer. Goes for the crab. Not really too sure where Graves is right now, because he did die, so we're not quite sure where he's resetting out to at the moment. right? Got some trade up in top lane, and it looks like he's coming in for an invade on the Graves' blue buff. And this is what I meant. Look at mid lane right now, right? Kassadin actually has the push. So this is very, very important. I'm going to pause for just a bit to talk about this. Even when you're on the back foot in the early game, because you have losing lane matchups, it doesn't mean you're always at a disadvantage on the map. Waves kind of come back and forth. That's why they're called waves, right? It's not constantly pushing into the Kassadin. There will be some timers where Kassadin is able to push back. You can think of it kind of like ocean waves, right? They come back and forth. There's an ebb and flow to the waves. So even when you're at a disadvantage and you have losing lane matchups, there will be some timers where you can potentially aggress and you have a tempo advantage. Okay, so he is looking aggressively onto the Graves here. And if Tristana moves, she's going to lose this entire cannon wave. Okay, he needs to pull this blue's aggro. If this resets, this is really, really bad. Okay, so he needed to walk up and actually draw the aggro of this blue buff. This invade is now over because Tristana had time to clear mid. So if we replay this very quickly, this right here is where things go wrong. You can see Tristana's catching mid as expected. So this is the one window he has to make this invade work. If this blue resets, this invade is over. Because Tristana is simply going to be able to clear this out and make her way over, and they lose that tempo advantage that they had. Tempo advantages are not indefinite. So he needs to get closer to this blue, try to auto it, and draw its aggro before it actually resets. But he's not able to here. Graves is able to reset the blue buff, so now this invade is simply over. They're going to have to leave. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. So he had the right idea, but the execution was just a little bit unfortunate. Oh, Rakan is here. Oh, no. I think his E over the wall might have even gotten interrupted, or maybe this wall was on cooldown, and he does go down. I think Cash should be okay. He should be able to R out, but this is really, really unfortunate. And again, this is what I was talking about. You have a useless Sona versus a Rakan that's just going to roam all around the map making plays. This is why it's so difficult to play lanes like this when you are in high ELO. Okay, so Talon does go down. I can absolutely respect that invade, though. I think he had the right idea with it. Okay, flips back out to the bot side. Kassadin getting pushed in again, so he again has no real timer to make a play, so I think he's just going to clear out his bot side, look for level 6. Yeah, should hit level 6 off this Gromp. What does he do after that? He could rotate back into the top side and clear, or he could just look for a play first with his ultimate timer. Let's see what he elects to do here. Okay, clears out the Gromp, and it looks like he is looking for a play with his ulti first. We do see Graves on the top side. We actually see Rakan up here too. So just pausing real quick. The typical response in this scenario, when the enemy support is like an Alistar, a Rakan, a Leona, something that can run around the map and roam very heavily, a Pyke, if your own support is not able to match them, then the typical response is to overload the bot lane instead, look for a 3v1 dive onto their AD carry, right? Because this is where you have numbers on the map. So instead of running up here and trying to hopelessly defend this 2v3, just abandon top, he's going to die here, it is what it is, look for a dive down bot. So hopefully your bot lane's going to be stacking a wave, and this is a cannon wave. So I'm expecting Talon's just going to run down, maybe clear these camps, and look for a dive down here while Rakan is top. GP does go down. Bot lane is stacking this wave, looking to crash before Rakan gets back. Okay. The problem here... Oh, Tristana does go down. Rakan has TP. He actually took Spellbook. I have never seen this before. Rakan almost always just goes Guardian, or sometimes he goes for Glacial Augment. But I guess because this guy knew that he didn't need Guardian for lane, he actually just took Spellbook and TP'd back to bot. That is some big brain shit. And he actually manages to cover the Zeri on the dive. Or from the dive. Interesting. I have never seen that tech on Rakan before, but I guess it kind of makes sense in this situation. So yeah, Talon doesn't actually manage to get a dive off, so he just goes for the camps and retreats into his own jungle. Big brain gameplay from the Rakan there. I wonder if that was intentional, or he just like had Spellbook from the prior game, and he's just like working with what he has now. Alright, so he picks up the blue buff here. He's probably just going to head up towards the top side and clear out his Raptors and Krugs. It's a very awkward timer to make a play on bot because Tristana has such heavy prio mid. If you go for a play down there, Tristana could easily roam onto you, right? So it doesn't mean you can't make a play bot, but it would have to happen really, really quickly. So he's taking the safer option, just heading up and clearing his top side jungle out instead. Looks like Graves is bot. WQ... Oh, nice. Nice mechanics from Graves. Okay, very decisive. It looks like GP is getting frozen on, so it might have been better to go Raptors and help him break the freeze before doing Krugs. If we didn't know where Graves was, I think Krugs is correct, because even if you want to help your GP here, it's very difficult to break this freeze if Graves could be here and Tristana could move over. But because Graves was bot, it might have been a little bit better to just go break this freeze before Krugs. See if he can clean up the Gragas here. He did miss W. Oh, the body slam. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Oh my god, here comes Trist as well. I think he's just dead. He flashes. Yeah, and this is what I mean, right? Imagine he tried to break this freeze and Graves was actually here. Tristana would just arrive and they would just both go down. So even if you want to help your laners, you have to first ask yourself, can I actually do it? Right? But again, in this case, I think because Graves was bot, it might have been better just to go break this freeze first and then head over for Krugs. In any case, he does go down to the Trist. He picks up CDR boots, Warhammer, and Dirk, and he's just going to head out towards his bot side here. Trist is kind of delayed here. She does kind of need to take a reset as well, so he may have a timer to look for a quick play bot. Let's see what he elects to do. Okay, clears out his bot side camps. Cass did take a recall. Looks like he's going to have to help the Cass hold mid. This tower is going to go down. Don't think there's much they can do about this. Yep. GP goes down to Tristana, unfortunately. I think they're just going to clear this wave out, and then he's going to go clear his Gromp. Alright, yeah, this is looking a little bit rough. At this point, you probably just have to completely give up on your GP. Maybe that's why he didn't help him break the freeze earlier. He already knew the GP was this far behind. He just can't make sacrifices for the GP anymore. So really, at this point, I think you just have to play on your bot side. Your Ezreal is very strong right now, about to hit Mirror Mana in a few minutes. Try to keep your Kassadin alive. He's not doing well, but at least he hasn't been dying. And just give up on your GP. Okay. Enemy bot does look for an all-in onto the Ezreal. I think Talon's going to be able to clean this up. Yeah, a little bit undisciplined from the enemy bot lane. They saw the Ezreal and took the chance, but really, all they really have to do is wait for their team, right? Wait for the Tristana, who's going to have perma-prio into the Kassadin. Mid-turret's already down, so it does give a window for Talon to come clean this up. Okay, Talon going to break off, actually, and quickly push out this bot wave before taking his recall. I'm really surprised that no dragons have gone down yet. Talon isn't a jungler that really plays for Drake that heavily. He has very slow Drake takes in the early game, so he mostly plays for farm and kills. But I'm pretty surprised that Graves hasn't bothered taking a dragon. Because if I was this Graves, I would really want to force an early soul point, 20 to 25 minutes, because we do get outscaled. And he had very, very strong prio from his mid early. So I'm quite curious as to why Graves hasn't taken any dragons. I guess his bot lane was losing, but mid was so strong, I'm sure he would have had some timers. So I don't think Graves has necessarily used the prio from his mid laner well enough in this game. Okay, but Talon did go down to Tristana. He respawns back out. He completes his Prowler's Claw. I think Prowlers make sense here, right? Tristana's super, super strong. You just need very, very strong single target damage to eliminate her and get her bounty. This team is also extremely mobile, so the Prowler should help a lot with that. Okay, Chaos coming out towards his top side to clear out his red side quadrant. Enemy team was able to pick up the Drake while he was dead. Looks like Zeri is pushing in top. Cass just took a reset, so he's gonna have to be a little bit careful in his red side quadrant here since he doesn't have any prio. Okay, clears out the Krugs. Does sweep and see a ward over the wall, and Zeri was here, so he's gonna have to be a little bit careful of a potential invade. Oh wow, he is taking a full reset. That is really, really respectful, but I think it makes sense, right? He doesn't have prio from mid or top, so he's actually electing, he ran out, took his Krugs, and just reset again. It might look strange, but I think that's actually correct. There's no way he can contest his red side without any help. And this is just kind of how you have to play the game sometimes when you have a very, very weak early game comp like this. You are oftentimes going to be on the back foot. Incredibly respectful gameplay. That was interesting to watch. Okay. Ezreal getting chased down. Sona flashes out. Looks like he's going to come in. W-E Prowler into nice clean combo. Let's watch that again. Okay. Looks like he W'd over the wall into an E. Prowler to get into melee range so he could get the melee Q crit. And then went for an RQ. If I saw that correctly. Yep, Prowler's RQ. Nice job. Okay, for those of you who don't know how Talon works, he needs to hit 3 abilities, and then when his next auto attack will proc a really, really massive bleed. This is where a lot of his damage comes from. Now, your W can count twice if you actually manage to hit both components, but it's really hard to hit both components of your W. So oftentimes you have to use R for a proc instead, so what he did was he hit the first part of his W, flipped over the wall, prowlered in, right? And then went for an RQ and then an auto attack to proc his bleed. So nicely done. Talon has some really, really complex combos, to be honest, especially when he has Prowler's Claw. So if you want to take a look into this, make sure you check out Kaostanza's guide. He has references to a lot of Talon's combos. Okay. Probably going to have to play a little bit careful here. He doesn't have... That was... Oh, he has... Okay, that was still really, really aggressive from the Rakan, to be honest. But he did have Stopwatch, so I guess he was just trying to set up a bait for his Graves and Zeri. But I would have preferred they just kind of wait for the Tristana, since Tristana is most of their combat power right now. Okay, here comes Trist. I think Talon's just going to be able to flip out over the wall. Ooh, my goodness, that damage. He couldn't even make it to the wall before dropping. Wow. And this is kind of what I mean. I don't quite think that it was... I mean... I guess Zeri and Graves were there and he was baiting with Stopwatch, but I think it's much easier if you just wait for your Tristana here, because she is so strong. Look at this. She is just demolishing this turret. 3 seconds with this turret, it is gone. Wow. Okay. This game is looking a little bit dire. I mean, they've managed to stall out decently, I guess, but this Tristana is absolutely massive, so we'll see. I feel like their solo laners are just too far ahead, though. Okay. Not much you can really force at this timer. You basically kind of just clear and try to prevent your laners from dying. Try to set up some vision. Try to be in position to, like, make some picks, right? But it is very, very difficult to play from this position. You can see he's just kind of holding top here. Oh my goodness. His team just drops 2v3. This looks not so great. Okay. I wouldn't be so happy here if I was Talon. I don't think he's going to be able to hold much here. Probably just drop some Ws. Make sure you don't walk too close and get caught out here. Alright, team is coming up in 10 to 20. Rakan is pretty low. Maybe he could look for an angle here. Q's in. Prowler's ult. Doesn't find anyone. Rakan... Okay, Rakan comes in and gets one shot. That's nice. They do have a timer now where Rakan's dead for 20. Maybe they could look for a dragon. Ooh. TP flank from the Kassadin. This looks good, actually. Graves was really, really low. Maybe they can find them on the tail end. Ooh, nice TP from Cast. I think they're going to be able to pick up Zeri here as well. And then maybe they can even look down for this dragon. I think there's no way they're reaching Soul Point, but, you know, it's something to do on the map. I don't think they have to go for it, though, because the enemy team is also quite far from reaching Soul Point, so you could also just take this time to clear out some waves and take some camps. But Dragon is not a bad prize. I think this is a Cloud Drake, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like they're just cross-mapping, taking the timer. Very nice. Okay. Flipping over the wall, seeing if you can maybe find a pick on the Zeri in the side lane. At this point in the game, Talon really doesn't like to just group up and play 5v5. He really likes to play split, try to put some pressure down on the side lanes, and try to find some picks, right? If your teammates aren't splitting, you can be the one to split as Talon, because if you're just grouped with your team mid, the enemy team can just barrel down mid as 5 and go for an ARAM play, right? But if you apply some split pressure, then the enemy has to go catch some side lane waves. If they have to go catch some side lane waves, then you can maybe go make a pick on them in rotation, right? So you'll constantly see this guy in the mid and late game, not really grouping up with his team, but rather making plays in side lanes instead and looking for opportunities there. What happened here? Looks like blue team just went up too far. They take tier 2 and try to keep going, from the looks of it. Yeah, I don't think this makes sense from blue team. They don't have to do this. It's almost 20 minutes. They can just play on Baron, right? Like, they do have good turret damage, but what you have to understand about sieging in for these inhib turrets is, A, it's difficult, right? You're going very, very deep into enemy territory. B, it doesn't give you that much, right? When you take tier 1s, they're easy. They give you lots of gold. They give plates, right? When you go for tier 2s, the outer tier 2s give a lot of gold, all right? I think in season 11 or season 12, they added an extra 250 local gold on these turrets, so they give 550 instead of 300. So these offer a lot of gold, and tier 2 mid offers a lot of map control. But these turrets, they don't really give that much, right? Taking this turret won't give that much gold. I think it's just like 200, 300, something like that. And it doesn't really offer map control either. So it's only good in the sense that it opens up the inhibitor. But if you're going to try to open up an inhibitor, you would rather have it be in the bot lane, because that way, maybe you could have Trist or Gragas pushing down bot, and you could make a play for Baron, right? Split the enemy team between these two areas. But if it's top lane, I don't think this turret even matters. So it's not bad to get it, but it's not that big of an objective, and I don't think that they need to overextend themselves pushing for this when they could just back up, play control in this area, and play for Baron. But let's see what happened here. Okay. Looks like Ezreal's just chasing down. Nice confident E. Casting R flashes in. And yeah, they just clean up some members here. Did Tristana go down? Tristana goes down to GP in the back. Right? And I guess it's easy to say this in hindsight that they shouldn't have done this, but really, I don't think that turret was like a big enough objective to go this deep for. I think they should have just reset, right? Played to control the enemy topside jungle, put down some vision control, and then play in for a Baron force. Because again, even if they got this, what would that really change about this game? I don't think it changes that much. Okay, so Talon's team gonna have a timer here. I'm gonna be honest, I think red team wins now. Like, based on this game position, of course we can see from the graph down below that they do win, but just based on this game position, right? Like I mentioned earlier, if this team manages to reach like 20-25 minutes in pretty decent shape, they will outscale, because their range is much stronger than the blue teams, and blue team's really gonna have to find some creative engages with Gragas and Rakan if they want to win this game now. Because otherwise, they're just going to get poked down by the GP and the Ezreal. GP is level 13 now, so he has the minimum delay on his barrels. It looks like Ezreal is working into, from the looks of it, Navori. Probably Navori into some kind of lethality mythic in this game, since there's no one too tanky here. If you have very tanky members on the enemy team, you can go Kraken Ezreal. But I think it's going to be Navori into, like, some lethality mythic here. Okay, so blue team is going to have to... They really, really need to push the pace of this game. This Kassadin is level 13, and he has his Roa proc coming up soon, so he's going to hit level 15 soon. Once this cast hits 16, this game is GG. This blue team comp really has no way to deal with a level 16 Kassadin. So blue team needs to be very insistent about pushing the pace of the game now. They need to they need to set up for Baron like right now and make a play for Baron right now. This game is slipping away from them. That top lane play was very bad for them. Ezreal walking up kind of far with no vision. A little bit dangerous, right? But this team doesn't really have melees or like frontline to face check, right? So it's a bit difficult for them. Oh wow. Oh my god, I thought he was going to go down. Okay, he does get chunked out quite heavily here. So this is blue team's window. They need to go now. They need to start this Baron up now. A little bit aggressive from the Ezreal without vision, but it is difficult for this team to put down vision, right? In fairness. Okay, yep. Looks like blue team does manage to pick it up. Good job. That's what they had to do. Okay, so they're probably just going to reset and come down mid. If we think about how blue team should be playing... Oh, they actually didn't reset. They just ran mid. So, I mean, I guess it gives... Yeah, I guess they are on a timer, right? Because if you take the reset, sure, you can spend your gold before you go out for the next push, because they all have about 1k, but that gives even more time for cast to scale. So I guess they're just thinking, we're healthy, let's go right now, because we can't afford to wait, which I can kind of understand. Now, if you think about how they should be playing this Baron, I think they should just go down mid as 5. Kassadin and Talon can rotate on sides so quickly that I think it's just too dangerous. I think it's much better if this team just sends 5 members down mid and tries to just ARAM it, basically. Okay, let's see how red team chooses to defend this. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, GP misses barrel. Talon's off on the side looking for a flank. Ooh. Gragas goes on GP. Rakan going very deep without follow-up. It doesn't look like Zeri's in this fight right now. Yeah, she was late to the fight. And, wow, did Triss just walk in and get blown up? Like, I think that Rakan just kind of jumped the gun over here. He saw members and he went for it, but I don't think his Zeri was in position, so nobody could really follow up. Triss walks in. Oh, and just gets Ezreal ulted into Sona ulted in one shot. Is this GG? I'm pretty sure red team just chases blue team down here. Okay, Zeri goes down. Here comes Talon. W's. E's the wall. There's the cleanup. Is this GG? 20... No, they can definitely take inhib. They can't end the game here. But I think functionally, it's very difficult for blue team to win now. Cass is going to hit level 15 very, very soon. I think blue team is just outscaled. They made too many mistakes, right? They didn't need to go for this aggressive play up on the top inhib turret. They could have just waited on Baron spawn. And then Rakan just went a little bit too early there when Zeri wasn't in position to DPS. Tristana was forced to run in through the choke point, and she just got blown up. So, we'll see if blue team manages to pull this back, but this looks quite dire for them. Okay, so Red team not quite able to end the game here. They're going to have to take the resets and spend their gold. They may have to give up this dragon, but that's not such a big deal because it's just second Drake, right? They are very, very behind on the map right now in terms of reset tempo. So I think you just give this dragon over to the blue team, and it is what it is, right? It sucks that it's Infernal, but again, it's kind of whatever, right? It's only second Drake. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So all red team has to do here is just play it a little bit slow, give your Kassadin time to hit 16, and it's GG. Just try not to get caught in the meantime while he's farming up. So as Talon, just kind of hover near your Kassadin, make sure he can farm it out. GP is running it the fuck down. GP, no, man. Why? Just give up the dragon. You're not in position to come to into this. There's no vision here whatsoever. Enemy team is here first. There's no reason to do this. Oh, come on, GP. Okay, GP gives a very big window for them to come, blue team to get back into. Actually, he managed to take down the Zeri. Okay, at least he went one for one, so this is okay. But that was not necessary. Okay. Ooh, nice kite out from the Talon into ultimate. W's does go down, but the enemy team had to commit way too much. That's GG. Yeah, let's watch this fight one more time. I really think GP was out of position here. He didn't need to do this with no vision setup. Just let your cast hit 16. Gets jumped on, but he does manage to take down the Zeri. Rakan gets chunked out by the Ezreal, and then I think they just kind of got corralled and chased down here. Let's see. Talon hopped the wall, dropped his W. You can see he's kind of kiting out here. Dodges the body slam, dodges the Everfrost, drops ulti, does a lot of damage. These guys jump in to kill him, but it's too late. They've committed too much to kill that Talon. It should just be game here. Let's see if red team's able to push this for the win. Yep, Ezreal just running mid. Zeri is up. Oh, almost killed the Ezreal. But that is GG. Thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe. And as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters for helping to make this channel possible.